Immigration Minister Jason Kenney joins us to reveal all. Okay, faster removal of criminals. Is this a real problem, or are you firing a legislative bazooka to hit a mosquito?
No, it is a serious problem. And if anything, we should have done this a long time ago. We've had hundreds of cases of foreign criminals convicted in Canada to 6 months or more in terms of prison sentence, and they've managed to delay their deportation for years, sometimes more than a decade, and in many cases recommitting crimes. One example, a street racer out in BC, 2002, killed a bystander, an innocent pedestrian. He got a serious criminal sentence, but then he started using all these appeals to delay his inevitable deportation. It took us, I think, 7 years to deport him. Look, the law says if you're a foreign criminal and commit a serious offense in Canada, you should no longer be here, and we're just trying to streamline the appeals process.
Okay, give me an idea what a serious offense is. When you say 6 months in jail, sort of the tolerance level, what does that mean?
Well, those are under the Immigration Act. 6 months or more in terms of a penal sentence is a serious crime. So we're talking about Jackie Tran in Calgary, for example. This is a guy who was running a drug gang. He was involved. He had caught with firearms, trafficking cocaine, and those kinds of offenses. We've had murderers who've managed to escape deportation. So it's the whole spectrum of serious crime.
Are they usually in custody anyway? Do they really want to stay in Canada if they're in custody? Beats going home to wherever?
Hard to believe, but too often true.
So okay, well, how seriously, just how seriously, you'll get in there.
I thought I was being patient.
I mean, how many people are we talking about? Have you got an idea of numbers that might fit with this expedited expedition?
Yeah, we're probably in the range of hundreds a year that foreign criminals who have been delaying their deportation through aggressive use of what I would say are redundant appeals. Mm-hmm. This is a commitment we made in the last election, and I think it's broadly supported. And I mean, the criminal defense lawyers and the immigration lawyers won't like it, and in my books, that's probably a good thing.
Think the NDP will like it? Oh, maybe we should ask Nathan Collins.
Look at that.
Okay.
Well, I hesitate a bit because we just saw the announcement come out, so I mean, our critic Ginny Sims and others will look at this. But I guess my questions were similar to Don's in the sense of who are we really targeting here? And is there any chance that we may be putting people out of the country that we would prefer not to in the end? Because sometimes there'll be someone making an appeal because if they're sent back, they face some sort of serious torture or potential execution. I want to be clear that there isn't. We're not going to be sending people under your law to do that.
That's a different issue because all of these criminals also get what's called a pre-removal risk assessment. It's a different decision point which looks at whether they might face cruel and unusual punishment, persecution if they're returned.
But is that not one of the appeals that these folks are filing?
No, they'll still have that. They'll still have that. What we're saying is, right now, if their sentence is less than 2 years, they get to go to what's called the Immigration Appeals Division. That takes 15 months. If they lose there, they go to the federal court, then the Federal Court of Appeal. That's like 2 to 3 years of delays. When the law basically says you're a foreigner in Canada, you commit a serious crime defined as 6 months or more in prison, you're going to be removed. It's almost like delaying the inevitable.
Who pays for all these appeals?
You and I do, taxpayers do, and usually they get legal aid, on their side as well. Jackie Tran in Calgary, this Vietnamese gangster, spent, I think, 6 years delaying deportation. In the meantime, here's the problem. He's running around selling drugs to kids.
Now immigrants who are landed immigrants who are here, and they come in and you discover that they have major criminal records back home, you can already deport them. This is crimes committed in Canada, correct?
Yeah, this is so we do have. This is actually a broader piece of legislation. It will also remove some of the special considerations that are currently given to people who commit crimes abroad. One other thing is we're bringing in a power to allow us to deny the admission into Canada people who might otherwise be admissible but are really bad dudes. I mean, we're talking about, for example, last year the imam who has a long track record of promoting violence against gays and lesbians, Jews and women. The opposition parties, the National Assembly asked me not to let him come into Canada, but we didn't have any legal grounds with which to do so. So now this is closing a loophole to say if someone has not committed a crime abroad, but we think they might pose a risk to Canadian society, we'll be able to deny them admission on a limited basis.
Okay, 2 questions. One is, if this is so glaring a problem with our criminal system, our justice system, why 6 years in before you got to it?
Fair question.
Second piece, though, is do all the powers of barring someone from coming into the country in the first place? Because some of these times it could be political. Someone is being accused of doing all sorts of heinous things, but it's actually the politics, domestic politics taking place. Who makes the decision to bar somebody?
Good question, Nathan. On the second question,
You're going to replace me.
on the second question, the Immigration Act already says that a foreigner is inadmissible if they've committed a crime in a foreign country that would be a crime in Canada. So that if the crime you've been convicted of in your foreign country is protesting against the regime or standing up for human rights, or if you've been a victim of persecution, we don't recognize that as a bona fide crime in Canada. So that's how we've always sorted out the wheat from the chaff, the real foreign criminals versus the victims of persecution. So we don't bar victims of persecution who are political prisoners from coming to Canada and making asylum claims. This would not change that. On the first question, fair shot. I mean, frankly, we should have done this before. I doubt it would have gotten the support of the opposition parties. And this is a complicated area of law. I've been working on this now for the last 2.5 years, to be honest. I think we've hit the right balance.
Last question for you. You have another one?
Just to come try us out a little more often. You never know. Don't assume opposition just because it's in our title as official opposition. As you know, there's times when we can find things to work together. But we'll take a look at this and sort of see how this thing works out in the actuality.
You were supposed to ask him the other question.
No, that was a statement. No, I'm just making statements from time to time.
The one about Fonzie and all that stuff.
The apology. Why was it so hard yesterday? We asked you 8 times in the House to apologize for this. Everyone's done this, by the way, Jason. Sent an email that we didn't want to send.
Really, I just don't like creating a precedent where we're commenting publicly on private communications. I can see that going in all sorts of bad directions for everyone in this city.
Deputy
and
Premier,
so private communications, as far as I'm concerned, are private.
Just learn how not to press reply all to your private communications. Have you learned that lesson?
Very good. And I've deleted all emails I got from you. Don't worry about it.
Okay, sounds good.
Oh, there's a story there. You should co-host next time.
You're a complete nutter minister. What can I say? All right. Jason Kenney, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen.